Welcome to Healthy Living. I'm Lori Johnson. Thanks for joining us today. Our topic is a condition you may have never heard of before. It's called neurofibromatosis, or NF. And what it is, it's the growth of lots of tumors within the body. My guest today is Michele Holbrook, who has over 100 tumors in her body, including 3 in her brain, and is trying to raise awareness about NF. Michele, thank you so much for being with us today. It's a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you for having me. It's very important for me to raise awareness for the Children's Tumor Foundation and also for neurofibromatosis.
So you have over 100 tumors in your body, and that is quite shocking. You are in constant pain. You've had 75 MRIs, 11 surgeries, actually more than that. But the good news, I guess you could say, is a lot of these tumors are not malignant. They are benign. These tumors grow on your nerve endings all throughout your body. Am I right?
You're correct. As a matter of fact, Friday, I just had another surgery to remove one off of my leg. But anywhere that there's a nerve ending in your body, these tumors can grow. There are 3 types of NF, NF1, NF2 related schwannomatosis, and then schwannomatosis. And I have schwannomatosis, which unfortunately is the most painful, but we just, and when there is an issue or a lot of pain is being caused or it's pressing on something that we feel like we need to get it out, then we schedule surgery.
So that's where the pain comes from. The tumor grows and presses on something, and there are nerves everywhere. To look at you, you look like the picture of health. You're very beautiful. You look very healthy, but you're in constant pain. How do you deal with that?
There are some days that are difficult. I try to stay healthy. To me, that's the most important thing to do, is to eat healthy, to stay healthy, to continue to build your muscles, build your stamina. And I honestly believe that that is what helps me get through surgery. A body in motion stays in motion. So when we start having issues and I have to get a tumor out, I just try to stay healthy beforehand and then continue to stay healthy afterwards.
So when you are feeling a lot of pain, you actually exercise and eat right. That must be very difficult to do, because that's probably the last thing you feel like doing.
It is. I'm a runner. It seems to loosen up my body a little bit to be able to help those tumors. I think my condition is a little different than some other people that have NF. I think we all just show different signs, but I have just always been active. I've always played sports, and I just continue to do that. I want the younger generation to know not to stop.
How many people have NF? You said there are 3 different types, and one typically strikes children, but overall, how many people have NF? A lot of us have never heard of it before.
And when I was diagnosed, and I remember sitting in my neurosurgeon's office, and he said to me, "You have neurofibromatosis." And I looked at him like he had 3 heads. I'd never heard of it. I think it's like 1 in 20,000 that have neurofibromatosis. The schwannomatosis is the rarest kind. I can remember when I had my genetic testing, and 2 years later, the doctor called and said, "You have a very rare form of schwannomatosis." But again, I still think they all intertwine with one another. Um, Mine are all internal, whereas NF1, the majority of those tumors are on the outside. But again, I've had friends, unfortunately, who have had NF1 who have passed away because of brain tumors. And so that's very important for me to be able to raise awareness for NF, not for me, but for the younger generation.
as I understand it, you really didn't start having symptoms until young adulthood. You were already married and had a child, if I'm not mistaken, correct? What were your symptoms?
Again, I'm a runner and I was training for a run, and my left leg kept going out from underneath me. We were living in Corpus Christi at the time, and I had gone to a couple of doctors, and they just thought, this woman is crazy. And we moved to Kansas City, and I love how God works. God knew exactly where I needed to be and the time I needed to be there. So we moved to Kansas City and went to an orthopedic surgeon, and I think he thought I was crazy as well. And went in, he said, okay, we're going to do an MRI on you. And when he did, that's when they found the one tumor on my L4, L5 in my spine. So he sent me to a neurosurgeon, and that is when I walked in, and Dr. Whitaker said, "You have neurofibromatosis." But I love, love, love how God works. And let me tell you, we were going to a church in Corpus Christi, Texas, and we had some friends that went to that church. Well, he was a radiologist, and his family was from Kansas City, and he had moved back to Kansas City to become a radiologist with a firm up there. I took him my scans and he said, yes, here's your tumor right here. And Dr. Whitaker is one of the best of the best.
And you have had all of these tumors. With NF, they're usually not malignant, correct? So this isn't really cancer, is it?
It is not cancer. Now, it does have a 1% chance of turning into cancer. It causes a lot of pain and a lot of turmoil in your body. And whether it's malignant or benign, a tumor is a tumor. And when it's on your nerve ending, it just causes excruciating pain.
Oh,
And
it's
even in your brain, when you lose your hearing, when you lose your eyesight, um, when I remember the last surgery before this one was last year in May. Seems like I have one every year. And because I've had so many tumors removed on my spine, Dr. Chen said to me, we might have to put rods in your back. And I'm like, please don't. And fortunately, he didn't have to, but that was a conversation we had to have. And those are conversations that other people with NF have to have with their doctor because of the hearing loss, because of the blindness, because of the situation in the spine. I had a friend that lives in Gainesville that lost her leg because of an NF tumor. And that's heart wrenching.
It really is. It's heart-wrenching on so many different levels. The fact that you are in so much pain, and then also the possibility of death as well. So it's wonderful that you're raising awareness about NF and you're trying to raise funds for research. We're going to take a quick break and be right back with Michele Holbrook. She's trying to raise awareness about neurofibromatosis, or NF. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Healthy Living. We are continuing our discussion with Michele Holbrook about NF. She's trying to raise awareness about this condition, a genetic condition, and there are 3 different types as you described, and one primarily affects children. And this seems to be who you are most concerned about, the little ones. Can you talk about that?
I am most concerned about the little ones. I never want a child to have to go through what I have gone through with the pain and with the disability uh, and children should be able to be happy and run and play and just enjoy life. And that's what childhood is about. To have to go to MRIs continuously or have to have continual surgery, it's heart wrenching. A good example is there's a young man that lives in Florida as well. His name is Nicholas. His grandmother lives in the same community that I do. Last year, he had 4 brain surgeries. He is now in a wheelchair. He's doing amazing. He's a fighter like we all are. But can you imagine a child having to go through 4 brain surgeries in 1 year?
It's just awful. And so you're raising money for these kids. How are you raising money, and how can our viewers help?
So, one of the ways that I'm raising money is I have a dear friend who rode across the Atlantic and also across the Pacific. His name is Paul Laurie. And he asked me if I would like to row 365 miles. We're trying to plan that route from South Florida to North Florida in order to raise awareness for NF. And I took that challenge. I think my family thinks I'm a little crazy, which I am, but if it's going to raise more awareness for NF, then why not do it? We're trying to plan this in July. We were going to do it last year in December, but the weather last year was just awful, so we couldn't do it. So we're planning for July.
So where can our viewers find out more information and donate if they choose, if they would like to do that?
You can go to the Children's Tumor Foundation, ctf.org, for a donation. And in the donation spot, you can put Michele Holbrook row, and that's all you'll have to do.
So you have a very strong Christian faith, and that helps you through so many different things. And you've had really just unspeakable trials. You had a devastating loss of your dear son, and you made a foundation in his name, which is separate and apart from NF. Can you talk about that?
I would love to. Thank you so much. So Chandler was my only child, and unfortunately, he had a disease like me that he couldn't fight. And he died of a fentanyl heroin overdose. It was 4 years in April. And last year, I was the ambassador for the Children's Tumor Foundation. And again, I love how God works because I started handing out Gatorade to people in need in our community because it was so hot here and I didn't know what else to do. And that was the only thing I could do. Well, then I got to know these people, and just the needs of others is something that's very important to me because I want to be Christ like. No judgment. You know, Jesus tells us the first and foremost to love him above anyone else, and then to love your neighbor as yourself. And I don't want to be the person to judge someone because of what they have or what they don't have. So when my year was up as the ambassador for the Children's Tumor Foundation, I started looking for a trailer. Well, I found a trailer and I loved this part of it. My next door neighbor had the trailer, and I thought, love your neighbor as yourself. So we purchased the trailer. My husband built the trailer out, and we traveled all over Northeast Florida to allow individuals to go shopping. It's a mobile closed trailer. And we travel to different areas. We hook up the trailer, travel to different areas, allow them to go shopping. We give out blessing bags that have all the toiletry items. And then I have an amazing group that I'm involved in called Sisters in Christ International. And they purchase Bibles for me so we can hand out the Daily Walk Bible. And then we also give them, I'm not sure if you can see this, this is all the resources that are available in Northeast Florida and Southeast Georgia if they want to get help. We don't have to say a word. All we have to say to them is, hey, I love you. We give them a backpack, we give them a blessing bag, and we give them a Bible. Proverbs 71:20 says, though you have made me see trouble, many and bitter, you will restore my life again. You never have to say a word. All you have to say is you love them. And that's what's important. And you never know whose life you're going to be able to affect just by showing love to someone else, as Jesus did.
Absolutely. You never know how you are impacting the lives of someone else. We're going to take another quick break and be right back with Michele Holbrook talking about NF and Chandler's hope. Stay with us. Welcome back to Healthy Living. We're talking with Michele Holbrook about NF. She's trying to raise awareness for this condition, and also Chandler's Hope in honor of her son Chandler, who sadly, tragically passed away from a heroin and fentanyl overdose. And, I was going to ask you too, you're in constant pain. Has it ever occurred to you to get on pain medications?
No, I just no. That is something that I chose not to do, and I think a lot of it stems from my son had a shoulder injury and had shoulder surgery, and they put him on OxyContin. And I firmly believe that OxyContin changes your brain chemistry and you cannot get off of it. It is such a hard drug. And then you go from the OxyContin to the heroin. And with the amount of drugs that are going around in the United States and elsewhere, you're playing Russian roulette. And I try to tell parents this all the time. And I also try to tell our younger generation, don't take anything that you don't know anything about. But for me, no, I do take gabapentin, which is a nerve blocker, but that's all I take. I choose not to go the route of pain pills.
I think doctors are sort of being a little bit more careful about how they prescribe those pain medications, because so many people get addicted to the prescription pain medications after a legitimate health problem, and then the doctor won't prescribe them anymore, so then they go to the streets to get the medicine, right?
That's exactly what happened. And when Chandler had his shoulder surgery, the doctor quit giving him the medicine, and then they had the. This was during the time that they had the pill farms, I guess you called them, and then he couldn't get them from there anymore, and then he started going to the streets for heroin. Was he an addict? Did he have a substance use disorder? Of course he did. But I also firmly believe that the medicine, the OxyContin, will change your brain chemistry. And it's just something that we need to teach our children about. That is one of the things that I hope to share through Chandler's Hope, is educating others about the effects of drugs, because I never want another parent to go through what I've had to go through. My Bible verse after Chandler passed away, and I remember to this day walking up to his apartment and God saying to me, "It's my turn now." But my Bible verse is Genesis 50:20. What you intended to do to harm me, meaning the enemy, God intended for good and for a purpose, to save the lives of many people. And I don't take that lightly. The enemy knows exactly where to attack our communities, and I want to be able to shine the light of Jesus to those individuals.
Oh, so well put. And you are really making the most of your situation. And I do feel you're honoring God in this process. We're going to take one final break and be right back with Michele Holbrook. Stay with us. Welcome back, and we're talking with Michele Holbrook, and you're just such an inspiration, Michele, your faith. You talked about NF, your also Chandler's Hope, and then you have another organization that's very near and dear to your heart. Can you talk about that?
Thank you. Yes, I'm involved in Sisters in Christ International, and you can pull it up online, sistersinchrist.international.org. And I will tell you, I would never be able to walk this journey without each and every one of our sisters. And they're all over the world, which I absolutely love. And our logo is to live brave. And there is hope. I mean, we live in a fallen world. And to be able to walk arm in arm with every sister in Christ is very important. And it's a journey that I couldn't do without each of them.
And really, that is sort of our mission as Christians. That's why we are here, is to build each other up. And as you said before, to love God. But then the next thing is to love one another. And it doesn't sound like you could go through all this, your NF, your son's death, without the help of and the support of Sisters in Christ.
I couldn't. And our logo for Sisters in Christ International is a movement helping women around the world fix their eyes on Jesus as we read the Bible cover to cover and do life together. And that's what it's about. And I think of when Noah, when he took the animals into the ark, they were two and two. When the disciples went, they weren't alone. They walked together two by two. And that's what he wants us to do. And God never told us it was going to be easy, but he told us he would never leave us nor forsake us. And that to me is the most important thing, because I know even in the depth of my despair that he's always there. And I've seen it too many times. I've seen it too many times when I went through this journey with Chandler. I've seen it with NF, and just how God just speaks to other women. And that's why I love Sisters in Christ International so much.
Well, unfortunately, we're out of time. Michele, thank you so much for being with us today and sharing your story.
Thank you. And thank you for speaking about NF, Chandler's Hope, and Sisters in Christ. These are organizations that are very important to me. And, just keep shining Jesus.
Indeed. All right. God bless you. Thank you, Michele.
Oh my gosh. Thank you. Have a great day.
You too. And thanks to you for joining us for this edition of Healthy Living. I'm Lori Johnson, and we'll see you again next week.